Hello bandits. Thanks to the folks at EQ Studios, we've been taking a look at their crime investigation sim, Scene Investigators. Scene Investigators sees you taking on the role of a trainee looking to pass your exams to become a licensed crime scene investigator. It seeks to provide a challenging deductive reasoning title where players will scour for evidence to find answers to various questions regarding your case. This is one which doesn't hold your hand, and players will have to make their own notes as they navigate each area. Scene Investigators aims to provide 70% of the clues while players fill in the remaining 30% with reasoned assumptions in order to complete the answers which come with each scene. The title doesn't have fingerprinting, and players will have to rifle through scenes to find seemingly innocuous detail to tie their case together. Sadly, this has been a bit of a tough one for us, as there are mountains of paperwork and a large number of locked rooms which you can't look through at all. With a fairly large 30% assumptions required to fill in missing gaps, any detail could be relevant. School leaflets, lipstick stains and personal diaries will all help players to build their notes, and you'll need to look carefully at interactable objects as well as scene decorations. Scene Investigators is not currently rated by the ESRB or PEGI. While there is no live violence or danger, Scene Investigators obviously comes with blood, violence and a lot of distressing themes. It is also incredibly complex, and one which is likely to go over the heads of younger players. With the grisly nature of crime scenes and documentation, it is one which we're saying deserves notable caution before handing it to any players under the age of at least 15. In terms of accessibility, this one does rely on close observation without highlights or hand-holding of any sort. It does offer subtitles and the opportunity to remap controls, but this is a little fiddly and hasn't quite worked as intended for us. Rotation of objects can also be frustrating and take quite some time to get right. It does, however, provide a read function which allows players to make more sense of the handwritten or hard to read notes, but that is about it. And with that stacked up, onto the rundown, our 5-point rating for Scene Investigators. Gameplay 3. We were really hoping for much more of a police-style investigatory work here, but most of the title is reading through documents and observing items within each location. There is no fingerprinting function or the ability to look up information using police databases. In addition, some questions such as identifying victims by having to piece together who was in the house rather than using ID seems a little nonsensical, and more aligned with a simple puzzle title rather than crime solving itself. Overall, the 30% assumption requirement is certainly challenging players to think, but it definitely makes it less fun as a game. Visuals 3. Some visuals here are fairly decent when you get close up, but things do feel a little dated, especially with jerky visuals in scenario introduction scenes. Up close and personal with interactable items, things do usually look pretty decent, but in the wider sense it could do with a little bit of a polish. Audio 4. The soundtrack is fairly decent here, and considering the amount of time you'll spend in each scene, it manages not to get repetitive. In addition, we also have some voice acting, which is a nicely put together if infrequent addition. Narrative 4. While the first test scenario provides some background information on the crime, other scenes provide no detail on why we are here or known current situations. In addition, after completing a scenario, there's no further detail provided on how the situation played out or what the potential impact of the player's choices could be. However, there is a little narrative string through each scene if players put 2 and 2 together, so there is something here to get invested in. Replay 2. With each scene being built as a bespoke investigation, there's not much reason to come back once you've completed the title. Players will get scores for each scenario, and it is possible to pass without completing the title to 100%. Getting your rank up here does provide a slight incentive, but it is not a great deal to draw you back in. Overall, the Pixel Bandits Horatio Crane level for Scene Investigators is an average 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, this isn't one which we've loved, and when compared to new titles such as Shadows of Doubt or older ones like the CSI titles, it does seem a little bare. There are a significant number of locked doors and paperwork which you're unable to read even when it appears to be attached to what's in your hand. Missing investigative features such as logging of evidence, fingerprinting, database lookups, and even the inability to use in-game phone books do hit this one quite hard. There are some great investigative threads through each scene, and we do love that it doesn't hold your hand and you have to piece together the information yourself. Finding clues and finally twigging on what they mean together is incredibly satisfying, but compared to the time you spend trudging through notes, it is a relatively small part of the title. Ultimately and sadly, the requirement to make assumptions for missing evidence is just a little too much. It would have definitely benefited from a more intuitive method of logging and linking clues in-game, and we'd really have liked more ways to link clues together, such as fingerprints, police databases, swabbing and tagging of evidence. Scene Investigators really challenges players to think and put clues together, but overall it feels more like an insurance investigator sim rather than working or even training as a crime scene detective. As ever, to provide our review and our Common Sense Parents Guide, we received a free copy of Scene Investigators from the folks at EQ Studios. And that's all we've got for you today. Check out the extended review at pixelbandits.org for more information on this one. If you found this helpful, a like, comment, share or follow might not cost you anything, but it really goes a long way to helping Pixel Bandits remain ad-free and independent. Either way, we hope to see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.